and we will go through how the program works and how the application process is and everything. And you are welcome to ask us question at any point, but we will also have a Q&A session at the end of the presentation.
Yeah, so then I'll start to introduce myself. My name is Vince Hessler, and I'm from Hungary, where I studied applied mechanics specialization, and mechanical engineering is my background. And there you can see my family and my university in the background. And in my free time, I spend most of the time with them. Then I moved to Sweden to study product development at Chalmers. I did my master thesis and the summer internship at Volvo Cars. And then that's quite more mechanical engineering. And then I started the trainee program at Hitachi, which was a quite big change for me regarding industry. Now over to you.
Yes. So my name is Karitas Liv Valdimarsdottir. I was born and raised in Iceland, and I studied electrical engineering at the University of Iceland. And around 3 years ago, I moved to Sweden and I studied at Chalmers, electric power engineering. And then last year, I joined Hitachi as a trainee. Yeah. But yeah, before we move on, we would like all of you to open up menti.com and type in the code that you can see on this page. And type in the code that you can see on the top of the page, and mark in where your countries are, where you come from.
If you want to.
If you want to.
No obligations.
Not mandatory, but we will give you just a few seconds. Maybe start some countdown. Yeah.
We have.
Okay. Looks like a lot of people come from Sweden, which is expected maybe.
Is it Greece, China, India? What do we have there?
Really interesting. How many people do we have in the meeting? Maybe we can check that to see if everyone has answered. I can't see it.
Don't risk anything.
No.
We're more used to Microsoft Teams, and every time you change to another system, you feel such a boomer.
Yeah. Getting old. But yeah, it seems like most of you come from Sweden, and then across Asia, and one in South America. So that's and one in Europe also. So that's really interesting. Yeah. Thanks for answering. And then we have one more question for you guys. So we want to know what you are currently studying at Chalmers. So there's a new code. So you just press the button where it says like join a new Menti, and then type in the new code. And yeah, we will give you some time here. Maybe 30 seconds, that's probably enough.
Nanotechnology, wow.
I've never heard of anyone studying nanotechnology. That's interesting. Sustainable energy system, production engineering, industrial ecology, yeah. Communication engineering.
Yeah, in our trainee group, we have
operations.
Yeah, we have industrial ecology, industrial design as well, sustainable energy system. We have a lot of trainees to study that.
In our group, I think like at least 1/4 of the people had the sustainable energy systems as a background. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, chemical engineering, very welcome as well.
Yeah.
Basically, everything is welcome.
Yeah.
But you get to know the company and what we are looking for
Yeah.
soon.
Thanks for sharing. But yes.
Yeah, so most of you have probably heard of ABB or seen it somewhere, for instance, on the chargers for the electric bus number 55, which go from Chalmers. However, the trainee program we will be talking about is about another part of ABB, or was a part of ABB, which is more hidden from the eyes, the power grid unit. And approximately 2 years ago, Hitachi bought ABB's power grid division, and we were named Hitachi ABB Power Grid for a while. New email addresses, very exciting. And since October, we are Hitachi Energy now. And yeah, new email address again. And since Hitachi has stronger financial muscles and we are thinking bigger, we're really looking forward to expand our knowledge. And it's a really, really good fit for us it opened up a lot of markets and opportunities. We don't really have to sell in us in many cases. So a lot of things will be happening in the future. Yeah, and here I just wanted to show you some numbers about our organization, where we are and how global we are. So we have the headquarters in Zurich in Switzerland, but the R&D and development of most of the transformers and high voltage products are in Ludvika and in Västerås here in Sweden. Within the company, we are 38,000 employees from all over the world, more than 90 countries. And we're also quite distributed as well in the different continents. Yeah, I know. So, but this is not the reason why you should join Hitachi, because we're everywhere. You can say that for about a lot of companies. So the real reason why you should join is the fun and the world, how it changes, and the challenges we face today. The population is growing, the climate is changing while our industries grow. The demand for electricity, especially green sources of energy, is growing. It's calculated that the capacity must quadruple by 2030. And people are starting to think greener. For instance, more and more electric cars are in the streets. And it's also expected that the electric EVs will be 18 times the level today. And it's really interesting to see how we can provide and help these industries to grow and provide electricity for everyone so they can charge their cars. And there are more and more requirements on the industries as well to reduce their emissions. They must drop by 20% till 2030 and 90% by 2050. And these are just short-term goals, what's happening in the world right now. And we'll see how it develops till 2050. Caritas, how do you see 2050?
Yeah, so our world will be like completely different by 2050. First of all, the population will increase from 7.8 billion to around 10 billion. We will see increased urbanization, where most of the people are living in cities, which introduces a lot of challenges on our power systems. The Internet of Things will expand from 10 billion devices to 24 billion devices, which is an increase from an average of 1.3 devices per person to around 2.4 devices per person. And we will also see rapid growth in the electric vehicle sales from 6.4 million per year up to 62 million per year. So almost 10 times more than we have yearly today. Electricity will account for around half of the energy demand in the world compared to 20% today. But what we need to do is to limit the global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And this is where Hitachi Energy comes in. With the work that we can do, we can contribute to minimizing the CO2 emissions and limiting global warming. And our products, they enable us to use sustainable energy sources like converter-based production, solar, wind, etc. We can minimize the losses in our power systems, so we need to produce less energy, and then we can use more efficient transportation methods, such as HVDC, to transport our energy from one place to another. And some of the markets that we serve are, first of all, utilities, where we can provide almost all of the equipment that is needed for transportation and distribution of energy. Renewables, so our products make it feasible to harvest renewable energy, but one of the largest applications that we have is wind farms. And then we have transportation as well. So the transportation sector is getting electrified on a larger scale, and we help to make it feasible.
Yeah, most of the buses and the public transportation in Sweden is expected to have 50% of electric buses by 2030, for instance. And we also serve data centers. For them, it's really important to have a reliable power connection. Although this is true to most of our customers, but you don't want your messenger failing, I guess. The next is the industries. I think this one is the most interesting one for me because everything is connected. For instance, we work together with LKAB, a mining company, and they're working on a mine where they want to have all electric vehicles and to reduce their CO2 emissions a lot and be almost positive CO2. And the steel or the steel they make there, or the core or the stones, they send it to SSAB, who does fossil-free steel, for instance, which goes to Volvo. And we're all supplying these customers with the energy, especially SSAB. They really need strong energy and reliable ones. So it's a lot of things happening. And we're also connected to making your life smarter. And you might wonder how all these are connected to us, or what is it that we do to reach these goals and how to serve our customers. Well, if you really want to oversimplify it, what we do is that we facilitate the transportation of power from where it was produced to where it's consumed. And this might seem as simple and easy, but it's so much more than just drawing cables and transform currents. There's a lot of system engineering behind it, and there's where our products come in. As Hitachi, we are starting to move into other segments as well, like e-mobility, which is a lot of fun and the segment growing fast. But now we don't want to deep dive into what you see between there, all our products, what they do, how they work, because that would be another lunch lecture. But maybe we could show a picture where you can see it more. For instance, the transformers are almost everywhere, from smaller ones at the trains or the bigger ones. We're also helping connecting offshore wind farms to the mainland, and we are connecting power plants to the power grid. And I think why it's fun, it's because 30 years ago, or not even 30, 10, there were some power plants and then the electricity went to the cities. But now we have all different kinds of new and green energy sources, which has to be connected into the power grids. And if you think about your own solar panels at home, or probably you don't have, or I don't have at least, but I hope I'll have, it will put a lot of demand and on the power grid. Or Caritas, do you want to add something here?
No, basically just that we are our products and our systems, they are located everywhere, both in the production, transmission, distribution, like everything connected to electricity. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah. So now we want to jump into what we did when we were trainees. We had 3 rotations. One rotation was 10 weeks long. The first one I did was at power transformers within the production engineering. And it's really interesting to see the daily, weekly, monthly, and even yearly challenges they're facing in production. You need to be creative, and no matter the background, you'll find a challenge fit for you. And I think it's a really good way to get into the company and see what happens down on the floors. And my main takeaway was that it's really fun to work with a diverse background and to succeed and try to make your problems solved. The next rotation I did was at components at tap changers. You might wonder what this is, but I'll explain that as well. But why I choose this was because that's the most complex product in my opinion. There's a very diverse physics in it. Like you have electricity, not just the system level, but the smaller levels. You have a bit of chemistry, mechanical engineering, and that's the only thing which in our product which has something which is moving. And I really like mechanics and mechanisms and dynamics. So it was a really good place to be. And the key takeaways from there was the balance of being in the workshop and also sitting in the front of my desk and doing the engineering, that it exists. And the last one, I wanted to try something new. So I jumped into the sales to the sales role. I was scanning and mapping the electric bus market in Sweden. And it was really fun because the customers don't know what they want. And it's really tricky to approach them and to find the magic words when they start to listen to you. And it's varies from person to person. And in the end, I chose to be a design and test engineer at Tap Changers as my permanent position. So there I am today. I was in the workshop in the forenoon. I have this meeting and I'll have other meetings in the afternoon. So it's a perfect balance. What about you, Caritas?
Yeah, so when I was a trainee, I decided that my first assignment would be something related to what I studied. So I studied electric power engineering, so I was very familiar with power transformers and how they work and what their purpose is. And that is why I chose to take my first assignment as at the electric design department at Power Transformers, where my main assignment was to make designs tool that would help the work of the electrical designers that work there and make it easier and more efficient, basically. And I learned a lot in this period, both about the technical and practical side of transformers. But the main takeaway from my assignment is that there's always room for improvement, and people, they like very different things. So some people might love a certain concept while others might just hate it. So that was really interesting in my first period. I chose my next assignment at HVDC at the System Modeling and Design Department, mainly because I wanted to learn more about HVDC, but also because I want to know how the atmosphere would be at the workplace and if I could see myself working there after the trainee period. And my assignment was to compare different simulations. So to compare the accuracy of something called hybrid simulations to simulations in another program called PSCAD, which takes much longer time and cannot be used for larger systems. And the key takeaway from this assignment was that things can be much more complicated than they look like in the beginning. And my third and last assignment was at capacitors and filters, where I worked with both project management and technical sales. So I chose this assignment because I wanted to try something new that was not as technical as the previous two rotations. And I also wanted to try to work in a smaller department because everything becomes like much more personal at the workplace. And my assignment was not as defined as the assignments that I previously had. So on the project management side, I was taking care of like smaller tasks that came up, and I was helping the project managers with their tasks. And on the technical sales side, I was helping out with developing technical solutions according to the customer specifications, communicating with the customers and sub-suppliers, and so much more. And after the trainee program, I decided to work as a technical sales specialist at capacitors and filters and work with the same things basically as when I was a trainee. And the reason why I chose this as my permanent placement was because it was like Vince said, like a great mix between the technical and non-technical. And also because I loved the workplace and the people that were working there.
Yeah, so when I first thought of power grids as a future place for me, I was worried about a bit because I'm not an electrical engineer and I was afraid there is not any interesting mechanical stuff for me, but I was wrong. Look at this beauty, this step changer. It's so many physics in it, electrical things, not just system things, but electrical phenomena coupled to heat, mechanical calculations, unusual materials, silver, wolfram, and more other ones and more secret ones I can't really tell you. And especially, and there's, as I mentioned before, there is mechanics in it. So there's a lot of interesting things, and not only for electrical engineers with us at Hitachi Energy. And here you can see how my tap changer, which seemed big, is in the transformer. So you can imagine the logistic of running a project like building a transformer and ship it to site in the middle of the jungle or high up in the mountains or a fjord in Norway, for instance. So what I want to say is that there's a lot of interesting jobs within Hitachi and you wouldn't think of, and you don't need to be a specialist in something. We're open for project managers as well, logistics, and we have a lot of products we're trying to make greener and the eco portfolio. So it's quite a lot of things you can do, but let's see how Caritas sees our products or the company.
Before we move on, I just want to mention, like, you can see this man here, like, then you can see the size of the transformer. So when I saw this picture the first time, I was so shocked because, I mean, here we have 2 meters, so it's like, what, 6 meters high, or then the bushings, they are like extra high. So, I mean, those are huge components, just to note that. But yeah. Basically what, since I have studied electric power engineering, I don't see the mechanics of the components like Vince, but I see the whole system and how all of the components like work together in the system. So for example, in the figure, we have the HVDC station there, where the huge transformer that Vince was talking about is just a tiny component in the whole system, so located somewhere around here. And then what I'm working with is capacitors and filters, and they are situated, for example, here. So yeah, and those are just like small components in the bigger picture. And so we have really different like visions of how everything looks like. But we at Hitachi Energy, we have really diverse backgrounds and we can see our work in very different aspects, and which makes us super great as a whole, because it's so good when you have different people with different aspects and different ideas of how everything looks like. So you guys might have like very different backgrounds from what we have, but that only makes us stronger when we have like different aspects and visions of the whole thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's so fun to see that for Caritas, a transformer is just 2 circles and 2 lines in her schematics.
Yeah, if you've seen a single line diagram, you know what he's talking about.
I haven't really. So that was how we see Hitachi and a bit of what we did within the company. And as you can see, this is our group, the T20, the trainees of 2020. And so let's talk more about the trainee program, how it's set up and so on. But first, we want to show you a video. I hope, did you share? Do you hear it? Do we have sound? But you don't need sound actually, no.
And if it's not sound.
I hope you liked the video. It's yeah, I think being a trainee, no matter which company, is a really, really good idea. But it's especially good at our place because we make the world a better place. I'm sure Greta Thunberg would choose us. So what is the Power Plus program? Well, it's the trainee program rebranded and changed in a better way, in a more global way. So what are the key elements? It's a more global program now. It's a more global framework they have because you have the trainee program in different countries and now it's more interchangeable and you will have more connection and contact with other trainees outside Sweden. We're targeting high potential graduate engineers with STEM, like science, technology, engineering, and mathematics backgrounds. Yeah, and related degrees with a maximum of 2-year work experience. But if you don't feel yourself targeted, but you feel that you can contribute, then apply. You can easily get in. The rotations are 3 times 6 months now. So you'll have a much longer period to try and work with one thing. And that's quite good because within our 10 weeks, it was more tasting. At you will bake your own cake or food, whatever. And the SDA, the short-term assignments, will be encouraged. That means that you can travel abroad or do a whole rotation abroad, which is quite cool. And you'll have a permanent position or permanent contract from day one. But now you can choose whatever country you want to work at after the trainee program. We had to stay in Sweden and that's what we wanted. But for you, you'll have more open doors. But I hope you stay here in Ludvika.
Of course. But yes, the Power Plus program is divided into 3 parts. The first part is pre-Power Plus, so before you become a trainee. The second one is the Power Plus program, the program itself, and then post-Power Plus. So this is after your trainee period. And now we are currently in the pre-Power Plus phase, where the application process is ongoing. And after the application process, the recruitment process is ongoing until the Power Plusers have been selected. And then onboarding and introduction takes over, and it's held for all of the Power Plusers, where you get more detailed information about the program. You get to look into what your options are for assignments. You get to meet all trainees, etc. And the Power Plus program then starts next autumn. And in the program, you can choose 3 different assignments where each assignment lasts for 6 months. And the first assignment should be taken here in Sweden, but the other 2 assignments can be taken anywhere in the world where we have Hitachi Energy. So parallel with your assignments, you get to partake in a global graduate community where you get to do some networking, meet new people, do plenty of activities with your trainee group, and so much more. And after those 3 assignments, you get to choose your future position within the company. So this position can either be similar to one of your assignments that you previously took, or something completely new and different. So this is something that you get to choose. And the Power Plus program is ongoing in Hitachi Energy around the world. So the most likely international placements are located in those countries that you see on the map. So Sweden, the US, Brazil, Switzerland, Poland, China, and India. But there's also a possibility to get assignments in other countries than those you can see in the picture.
Yeah.
But yes, as we said, although you can choose your assignments anywhere, both me and Vince, we think Ludvika is the best place to live in. Yeah. So there are a lot of small city advantages with living in Ludvika. So for those of you who don't know, Ludvika is located in the middle of nowhere in the middle of Sweden. So, I mean, there are around, 16,000 people that live in this town.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest advantages is that we live really close to each other. So here on this figure here, you can see our trainee group. So, I mean, this area here where most of us live is like a 5-minute walk from here to here. And then Vince lives here, but this is like a 15-minute biking trail.
Yeah.
Approximately.
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then we have one person living in Borlänge, which is like a 30-minute drive, but it's still quite close, relatively close.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we have like a lot of, like if you like nature, if you like sports, this is the place to be. So, I mean, there are so many opportunities here.
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, what we do in the free time is we play a lot of board games with each other. We hang out a lot, try to cook and so on. And it's so good to be close to the nature, ice skating on the lake when it's frozen or winter skiing. And everyone encourages each other to try on new activities and to be part of the community. And it's not just our trainee group, we also have close contact to the trainees before us and the contacts, or the trainees who started now in September.
Yeah, there's a huge trainee community here in Ludvika. So we have like trainees from 10 years ago. And yeah, it's not so common, but I mean, the trainees that were here like a few years ago, we hang with them quite often.
Yeah, I think like a couple of years ago, there was this big trainee meeting. And I think before it was ABB, the company was called ASEA. And they had also a trainee program. So there are trainees who are 80 years old now.
Yeah. I'm actually working with a trainee that is super old. So, I mean, there's a lot of trainees here.
I hope you didn't refer to me. Yeah, so here's some pictures what we do. For instance, we had a brännboll, sort of a baseball tournament, and we're really happy because our trainee group won this year and the year before. So feel free to challenge us. We also have a picture of when we're playing board games after we had a good dinner. And unfortunately, we started in 2020. I don't think I need to introduce that year, but we had a lot of Teams meetings. And even though many of our activities were restricted, we could meet a lot of interesting persons. For instance, in this picture, we have our CEO or VD, Jenny Larsson, a really inspiring woman for all of us.
Yeah, super interesting. And yeah, here you can see some more pictures. This is like a basic Ludvika life where we meet outside, take some walks together, especially in COVID. We are not allowed to hang so close to each other. So it was quite common that we like did something outside where we could keep some distance between us. Yeah, and then we have the Leksands production. Yeah, we're quite close. So yeah, some of us go and buy boxes like every now and then. And
there are stores in Ludvika. You don't need to go to Leksand to get bread, just so you know.
No, but you can.
Yeah. So here are some pictures from the previous trainee groups, and as you can see, they went up north to Kiruna to visit the LKAB mining site. They did ski trips together, and the trainees now will do the same, and so will you if you apply. But the purpose of the trainee program and why it's good is basically that you get a really strong network. It's much easier to find people that you have met before who can solve your problem, and it generates a lot of knowledge within the company. But the best part is that you shape your own future. You try different roles, and then you select one which is best suited for you. So you don't need to know what you want to do when you apply, and I think you shouldn't need to know. Yeah, that's even better. Me and Caritas, we're quite technical, and we were quite sure what we wanted to do when we came here, but this is not true for every trainee. So there were people who tried totally different things, what they studied, and ended up doing totally different works, and they love it. So challenge yourself, and you get to know yourself better. You think maybe that you have a path for you, and that's good. It's a possible way, but there are plenty more that you maybe didn't think of.
Absolutely. But just to quickly sum up the Power Plus graduate program, basically you get to choose 3 assignments that you find interesting. You get to gain new experience and try new things, or specialize if you prefer. You get to know the different businesses from the inside by working there for a couple of months, and you get to broaden your network and learn from others' experience and be a part of an amazing trainee community that we have here. And then at last you get to make an uninformed decision about your permanent job. And this is a huge advantage compared to other like first jobs where you don't know really what to expect and how the job is going to be.
Yeah.
And networking usually leaves the trainees with like several job offers after the program. So that is not going to be a problem. And I'm just going to go quickly through the recruitment process, just so you are aware. So now we are here in this application period, which is ongoing from October 13th to December 1st. So the application period closes on December 1st. So if you want to apply, you should do it before that date. And you will include your CV, cover letter, grades, and everything you usually include when you apply for a job. After that, we have the first selection where you get to know like if you go to the next phase or not. You will get a yes or no notification. If you go on, then you get to go on video interviews where you are asked questions and you record yourself answering those questions. And after this, you get also a yes or no answer if you go on to the next phase or not. And this is in December, as you can see.
Yeah, it was really fun to record yourself. There were many fun tactics, but for me, the best one was to go with your gut feelings, and you have 2 chances to record yourself. And I recorded my last question the second time, and then it was so confusing what to say. But we vary a lot.
Everyone needs to do this, so this is mandatory, but this is not as scary as it sounds, just to say what comes in mind. But yes, after this, we have assessment center, which will be digital this year. So there you will have some interviews, you will have a case study and some feedback session. So this is going to be like a full day where you are basically in this assessment. And after this, you get a final yes or no selection or notification. So you get to know if you got the job or not. And this is at the end of January. So this process really doesn't take so much time. So you will know if you get the job or not at the end of January. So that's really good.
But I would also like to add that if you're interested in Hitachi Energy, it's not just the trainee program we have. We also have thesis opportunity and summer internships as well.
And also open jobs where you can just apply if you have less than 2 years experience, so entry-level jobs. So this you can all find on the Hitachi Energy webpage if you're interested. But yes, this is the end of our presentation. So if you have any questions, you are welcome to just talk to us, or if you prefer, you can go to Menti and use this code here. Let me see, somewhere there, and just ask us questions through this. So this is okay as well.
And we have a QR code for the for the application form. But if you don't come up with any questions now, you're free to contact us on LinkedIn as well to ask questions.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. Actually, I want to know that is there any special background needed for applying for this internship?
No, as mentioned, it's the STEM. Like it's if you have some kind
of
background.
Excuse me. I cut. I had not your voice. Can you repeat?
Yeah. So basically, you don't. If it's engineering or related to energy, renewable, you're free to apply. But basically, if you study at Chalmers, then I think all of the programs is.
This is okay.
Yeah, they're not that selective. If they think there's a fit, then there's a fit.
And you said that the program is started next autumn, yeah?
Yes.
And if we had, for example, some course in next autumn, it will not conflict with the study program?
No, you need to have the complete degree when you start the program. So if you have some courses in the spring, you're free to finish them, but at the end of the summer you need to have all the courses done.
And include thesis. For example, I have thesis next autumn.
Yeah, well then you need to apply 1 year later.
And you can apply a program like next year. So
next year.
Yes.
And in these 6 months, there is some salary payment to a student and intern?
You get the permanent position from day one, so you're fully employed from day one. You're an employee just like everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else. And you put the QR code here, but we have not your PowerPoint presentation. How can we reach to this PowerPoint?
I think we need to check with our HR, but we'll make sure that you get it.
Yeah, if they can put this inside the Canvas. Or I don't know what we need to have this address for application.
I think they have your email addresses somehow, or it's a question then from us to the organizers that if you can you record all the email addresses and then we'll send the presentation.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
But you should be able to find it from Google, so it's not a hidden thing.
This is in a Hitachi website, and there is some place for internship application, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. But yes, we have what is roughly the starting salary. I'm not sure what is going to be actually next year, but you can ask I would ask the ones that are taking care of the trainee program. So just ask them what the salary will be.
It's an entry-level salary. It's
Yeah.
the same for other trainee programs, or if you finish from university and you start to work at a company or the bigger companies, you get the same basically.
Exactly. Then we have another question. For non-EU student, is it possible to get work permit with this program?
The answer is yes, because if you get selected for the program, then you get a employment contract from day one. So yes, with that you can apply at Skatteverket, I think. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, you get basically from day one, you get like a permanent placement. So you get a permanent job. So this is not like a temporary job or anything. So this is like with any other job, you can get a work permit at the same, like with the same.
Yes, if you apply for Hitachi Energy for just a job and you get it, it's the same thing as applying for the trainee program and you get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, as a master degree student, how will the company manage my time between the university and the company if I'm going to be in another city? You need to be done with your studies before you can become a trainee.
It's not an internship, it's a trainee program. So you're full-time employed when you start.
Yeah. And you get full-time salary as well. So you need to be done with your studies at that point. Oh, I cannot see the next one. Yeah, let me see. We can take it here. I have studied electrical industrial engineering in my bachelor's and management as master's. Am I eligible to apply?
Absolutely.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that's the short and the easy answer. Yes, you are eligible.
Yeah, and industrial engineering is quite common within the trainees.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, so this is, I mean, if you have any, basically you can apply at any point. It doesn't matter what background you have, but the most common ones that get this trainee position, that is the ones that have studied everything that, for example, Chalmers has to offer. So technical stuff or like STEM, within the STEM thing.
Yes, but there are like trainees who studied logistics as well from a couple of years back.
Exactly. Do we use our location for each assignment? I'm not sure I understand this question. But for each assignment, I'm not sure if you're asking.
Like the first assignment, you'll be here in Ludvika or Västerås in Sweden. And then you can, the other two assignments you can do in other countries if you manage to find a position there. But you can elaborate if we didn't understand the question correctly.
Yeah, ask another question if we didn't fully answer the question. But basically, yeah, you can like first you need to be in Sweden, then you can be wherever in the world, wherever we have Hitachi Energy, basically.
Yeah, or you can try to apply for in other countries, for instance, India, but then you need to apply through the Indian Hitachi Energy.
Yeah.
And then you have to do your first assignment there.
But yes, if you have any more questions, just post them or ask us.
Or we can show our LinkedIn QR code.
Right. Let me see. Oh, how do I do this? Technical problems with the boomers.
Yeah, okay, so here we have our LinkedIn QR codes. So feel free to contact us if you have questions regarding.
So if anything comes up afterwards, you're free to like send us a message or whatever after this presentation. We will reply as soon as we can.
Yes.
Yes, but if there's nothing else,
You can leave it.
yeah, if there's nothing else, then thank you so much for listening in today. We hope you have a nice day. And yeah, but you can still ask us questions. We will stay here for 3 more minutes until 1 o'clock.
Yes, and I would like to thank Hitachi Energy for a very nice presentation, and also like to remind everyone of our events tomorrow with Northvolt and Volvo. So don't miss that.
Yes, and thank you very much for having us. It would have been nice to be at Chalmers and coming back as alumni, but this is also very good and very well organized.
Yeah. Super. Thanks.
Any more questions?
Yeah, like we said, if you have any more questions, just talk to us.
Okay, I take it as a no, and yeah, but feel free to contact us as LinkedIn.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, as mentioned before. And thank you very much for listening to us, and good luck with the studies, and have a nice week.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.